As Russian troops move to secure the Donbass region in Ukraine, the port city of Mariupol lies in ruins with thousands of people still trapped inside.
A member of the Islamic State gang dubbed the Beatles has been jailed for life in the US for torture and murder. Holidaymakers face delays and cancellations as Amsterdam's Schiphol airport tries to cope with large crowds and staff shortages.
Citizens at the Conference on the Future of Europe make their voices heard, with calls for more civil representation in meeting in Strasbourg.
The United Nations are looking to broker an evacuation of civilians from the ruins of Mariupol. According to the local mayor, the situation at the Azovstal steelworks is dire. Around 3,000 people are still holed up at the plant. 2,000 of those are Ukrainian defenders. And around 100,000 people remain trapped at the seaport. The Ukrainian president says what's left of the city is shocking.
In the city, which used to be one of the most developed in the region, there is simply a Russian concentration camp among the ruins. The rules of the occupiers in the part of Mariupol that is unfortunately under their control at the moment do not differ much from what the Nazis did in the captured territories in Eastern Europe.
Meanwhile, the Pentagon's press secretary John Kirby accuses Russian President Vladimir Putin of brutality and depravity.
It's difficult to look at the It's difficult to look at some of the images and imagine that any well-thinking, serious, mature leader would do that. So I can't talk to his psychology, but I think we can all speak to his depravity.
However, Russian President Vladimir Putin said his main focus is to ensure Russia's security and provide his people in the Donbass with aid. He made his comments whilst chairing a meeting with the Russian Security Council on Friday. The number of people fleeing have dropped due to lack of humanitarian corridors. But those who manage to escape the Russian occupation go to Zaporizhia. As Finland grows ever closer to NATO, people are mobilizing for a possible Russian attack and participating in civil defense training. For many, it's not a question of fear, but rather being prepared. The Finnish Reservist Association expects its membership to double this year to 100,000 members.
We have only 5 million people, and if we want to defend our country, many of us has to know how to use the guns.
I think it's important that we're all ready.
During training, civilians learn how to use weapons, but also basic first aid and defense techniques.
Imagine I'm working at the restaurant, a white shirt and a suit and like that. So I enjoy here, yeah.
According to the camp instructors, 80% of the Finnish adult population attends these exercises at least once a year. With Russia threatening the country against joining NATO, Finns are hoping for the best while preparing for the worst.
A member of an Islamic State kidnap and murder cell, which was known as the Beatles, has been sentenced to life in prison by a US court. Alexander KOTEY, a former British national, pleaded guilty in September for his part in the execution of 4 American hostages in Syria. The 38-year-old also admitted his responsibility for kidnapping and torturing some 20 other journalists and aid workers. Mike Haynes' brother David was one of those murdered by the group.
Today is a victory for all those who suffered at the hands of this terrorist gang. Today is a victory for humanity over the poisonous and destructive ideologies that fuel terrorism.
KOTEY was captured in January 2018 together with another member of the gang, El-Shafi El-Sheikh, and handed over to US forces in Iraq. Both appeared in court in Alexandria near Washington on Friday. El-Sheikh will be sentenced in August. Cancellations, delays, staff shortages and a strike have led to chaos at Amsterdam's Schiphol airport as people attempt to take to the skies for the May holidays. Authorities are warning of significantly longer waiting times, and the airport is attempting to reduce the crowds by asking airlines to reschedule flights to Rotterdam and The Hague. This is bad planning. We've known since January that many people want to go abroad on holiday in May. If you don't prepare for that, then this is what you get. Thousands of people were affected last weekend after an unannounced strike by KLM baggage handlers, so this Friday's travellers gave themselves extra time. We arrived here twice as early as we would normally do. 4 hours, yes, 4 hours. KLM said it would cancel 47 flights on Saturday and Sunday, and more disruption could be in the pipeline.
Pope Francis hopes to audit progress on tackling abuse within the Catholic Church. The pontiff has given a new mandate to his Sex Abuse Advisory Commission, asking the members to work with bishops globally. It follows decades of revelations of priests raping and molesting children.
For the first time, the Holy Father has placed the importance of child protection as a core of the Church's central government. We thanked him for his constant support, and the Holy Father told us that the autonomy of the Commission is meant to ensure the integrity of its expertise, and especially in its freedom to give advice to the Holy Father on these delicate matters.
One of the Commission's biggest initial recommendations was a special Vatican tribunal to prosecute bishops who covered up for pedophiles, but it went nowhere, frustrating survivors. The Pope hopes by creating special welcome centers for victims, it could help answer long-standing complaints from individuals about the reports of abuse. More than 140 electric buses will be removed from the streets of Paris temporarily after 2 of the vehicles caught fire in 1 month. That's nearly 1/3 of the city's electric bus fleet. It happened on Friday and no one was hurt in either of the 2 blazes. 30 firefighters put out the flames on Bolloré's Blue Bus 5 SC model. The world's first zero-emission self-propelled electric container ship has been baptized in Norway. 500 young people and Crown Prince Haakon christened the 80-meter-long vessel Yara Birkeland. The ship is named after one of Norway's foremost researchers, early 20th century physics professor Christian Birkeland. This ship is set to replace 40,000 trips of diesel truck transport a year.
After a year of consultations, collaborating with thousands of EU citizens, this year's edition of the Conference on the Future of Europe came to a close. Participants from 27 member states and EU institutions gathered in Strasbourg at the European Parliament, adopting their final recommendations for future reforms.
I was in a working group of Stronger Economy, Social Justice and Jobs, and I fought to bring a young perspective into this huge issue that is housing, that is getting a first job for a student.
For many delegates, Europe is opening a new chapter in its democracy. That's why citizen assemblies like this are of the utmost importance.
We made important proposals about education, about mutually recognising degrees and about a certifiable standard of education. I think it could have a massive impact. I think, as they were saying yesterday, democracy in Europe is going to change after this. We won't any longer just have representative democracy, we'll have to have citizens involved.
Reform is also welcomed from politicians alike. Belgian MEP Guy Verhofstadt, who was one of the executives at the conference, said EU decision-making needs to change.
One of the main proposals is to end veto rights in the European Union. So to stop with unanimity voting and decision-making processes. Because of unanimity, you're always acting too little too late with the European Union.
New approaches will require changes in European treaties, which is opposed by some member states. But the European Commission says it is very open for dialogue.
I'm sure that institutions are serious enough and the citizens will keep us accountable if we don't do anything. So I'm sure we will follow up and we will try to do our best in order to accommodate citizens' ideas, citizens' hopes, citizens' concerns.
The final recommendations will be handed over to EU leaders on Europe's Day on the 9th of May, But after that, it will take months to see whether or not they will become reality. Sándor Zsíros, Euronews, Strasbourg.